So I invite Dr. Harshvardhan Tanwar. He is a very uh, uh, enthusiastic urologist who is really into PCNL, and he is going to tell us all about how to come out of overdilatation and losing a track. He has 25 international PubMed index publications. He has demonstrated PCNL and his puncture technique as a faculty at USICON, our annual conferences of national level, where he demonstrated. So you can understand how good he is being considered in Indian scenario, in Indian scenario. So he has participated in debate with stalwarts in Percon. He has presented a talk on use of flexible guide system in PCNL, and he was a faculty and moderator when Oliver Trexer was delivering a talk on RIRS versus PCNL in Hyderabad. He is head of PCNL Training Institute at SLS Hospital. So I invite Dr. Harshvardhan to tell us how to do a safe PCNL and to come out of the complications. Back to Dr. Harshvardhan. You can share your slides, please.
Sir, SK Pal sir, for the information of the audience, 600 people on live. Some of our seniors and teachers are also on live. In view of it's a webinar session, we could not include all in the panelists. So we will say namaste to all the teachers. And many of the seniors are there.
Surely, yeah. I am also getting message.
Yes, sir. Kirpekar sir said you are conducting very well, SK Pal sir.
Thank you, thank you. So I can't see Harshvardhan now on the screen.
Harsh?
He seems to have frozen.
Yeah, he is not on the screen, sir. Call Harsh. Rajendra. Harshvardhan, he is there, sir. Now, Harsh? Harsh? Harsh, can you unmute?
But in video screen, he is.
Yeah, he appeared and disappeared.
Yeah.
There must be some internet issue with him.
Yeah, we'll wait for 1 or 2 minutes, sir.
In the meantime, is there any audience questions we can take, Dr. Chandramohan?
Yes, sir. Bhaskar sir, they asked question, is mini PERC versus PERC during the COVID season? Any comments on that? For example, more bleeding in PERC, or is it same like original standard protocol?
I think, no doubt, mini PERC, we have already heard, has its advantages regarding complications, bleeding, hospital stay, and anything we can do to decrease hospital stay and decrease complications is a good thing. So if there are stones, in my practice, if it's a complete staghorn, and I know Sven will probably disagree, for a complete staghorn, I prefer a standard PERC. But apart from that, for most other stools, I think mini PERC will do a good enough job. And the smaller you do, we have seen that the risk of complications, etc., is lower. So for me, if you can do it with a mini PERC, go minimally invasive if possible, where you can safely do the procedure.
Yeah, sir, Harsh has joined, sir. Harsh, you want to share? Thank you.
Sir. Sorry for the internet
no problem. Please.
Yes,
Be
comfortable. Are you able to see the slides, sir?
No, you have not opened your PPT. Directly you are sharing the screen. Close it, open PPT and reshare.
Just a minute, sir.
Close the screen. You open the PPT in your computer.
Just a minute, sir.
Yeah. Take time, don't worry. You open the PPT and then share with the...
Yes, sir.
Sir, if the blood falls on the cut area of the body, COVID, a vague question, does it transmit the virus? Many of us are...
You should have PPE. Blood shouldn't fall on your skin. I think that's the first
Sometimes thing. In PCNL, it falls, it goes through the shoes and then you will wet.
I think I have to say I've not experienced it. The easiest thing for me to say, the safest thing, if you feel your shoes are wet, you should probably pause, wash it, and I mean, then the PPE is not working. The whole point of PPE is that you are protected. You know, if that means the PPE is not adequate or not working.
At least you can assure us that coronavirus is not there in the urine. If urine falls on you, whether you are going to get it.
But it's there in semen, sir. People
No,
are
semen is not falling on us, man.
over to Harsha. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Harsha?
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Thank you, sir. Pal, sir, thank you, first of all, for the warm welcome, sir. I would like to thank you, Dr. Chandramohan, sir, and Pal, sir, who are the masterminds of this international webinar, for giving this opportunity to be amongst the stalwarts of PCNL around the globe. Actually, the biggest dream and the sweetest dream of my life is when I puncture a calyx in the first attempt and it's an accurate puncture and I see water coming down from the needle, the clear puncture. So it's always the sweetest dream I have. But as we say that the sweet dreams are always followed by the nightmares. So today we are going to discuss about the twin nightmares of PCNL, what we call them as the track loss and over-dilatation. First of all, accurate track and a well-maintained track is the success key of PCNL. So if you have both of this and you are trying to maintain the well-made track, then there is nothing like that, and no things can go wrong in a PCNL if you have made it correctly and you are going to maintain the track. So the complications do happen, and as we say that PCNL is a maze. So it's a Chakravyuh, and one should always keep in mind about all the do's and don'ts when you are about to do a PCNL. So you should know, you should fit in your mind all the ways to come out if there is a complication, and you should have all the exit strategies planned ahead before doing a PCNL. So it should be there in your mind, the roadmap should be there, and then only go ahead while doing a PCNL surgery. Accidents do happen, so as do the track losses in PCNL. So how do the track loss happen? So there are some steps during the track dilatation. If there is a contrast extravasation, you lose the fluoroscopy site of the calyces, and then you are doing a blind procedure totally. So it is the most important point that if there is a contrast extravasation, one has to stop and then do it after some time when the calyces are very well visible. If the technique of dilatation is a wrong technique, if you are trying to move your facial dilators too vigorously, of course you are going to enter a false track, when even though the glide wire is there in the parked in the ureter. Or if there is a very little space or purchase between the stone and calyx, there is a chance of slippage of amplatz. So one has to be very much careful and cautious while doing PCNLs in such cases. If there is a step in the path of glide wire, yes, the glide wire can slip out of the calyx and it might go into a false track. If the quality of fluoroscopy images is poor, if there is a lag, you go ahead or you enter a wrong track, because the image which is conveyed to your eyes is probably there is a lag between the image and the real-time image. Or if we do an over or under dilatation. So it's a pictorial representation where if there is a step in the dilatation track, if there is a step in the glide wire, and if you try to insert your dilators, the glide wire slips out very easily, and then you are just in the perinephric space and you have not entered the kidney. Once you have entered the kidney, now when you are doing a nephroscopy and you are trying to search for a stone, if you do it, if you are not able to search the stone, or if you are able to see, and if the amplatz moves a little bit also, you can lose the track. So one has to fit in the mind the way from which we have entered. So I was searching for a stone and I've suddenly lost the track here. So I'm now in the perinephric space and I'm trying to search it. So what I'm doing is I'm coming out a little bit. So once I'm out, so I'm again trying to search the track because it was a well-made track. It was a 24 French dilatation. I was on the stone, but suddenly due to my assistant, as he moved it, I have lost the track and my amplatz was out. But luckily, I was able to find the track and I was in again. during nephroscopy. Now, while removing the stones, while stone retrieval, if the stone is snugly fit to the amplas, and if you're trying to, if you have not made the particles small, and if you're trying to remove a big stone, yes, with this, when you are applying a force to the stone to come out, the stone comes out, but so does the amplas too. So I've removed this stone, and when I'm going back, my track is lost because the amplas with the stone, my assistant has not applied a force to the amplas and he has not placed it in the place, and I've lost my track while after removing the stone. If the parenchymal thickness is very thin, and if you're trying to hit the stone with a pneumatic lithotripter, there might be loss of track and you can enter the perinephric space. Here you can see that the parenchyma was thin and I was blasting the stone with a pneumatic lithotripter, and it has created a false passage, and I have entered into it and it's in the perinephric region. Or if you're using a regular length amplas in obese patients, as the skin to calyx distance is long, the amplas easily slips off during the maneuvering of the nephroscope. So you have to modify, and you have to anticipate that in obese patients, the length of your amplas should be long enough so that it can traverse the skin to the calyx distance easily, and you have ample of amplas which is outside the skin for your maneuverability. So what happens when the track is lost? Yes, the first thing what happens when the track is lost, there is a loud shout in the OT made by the surgeon. The heart rate of the surgeon goes first on the higher side than the patient. So the surgeon is a panicky surgeon. So this is very common scenario when the track is lost. The loss of track tamponade is there, so risk of bleeding increases. If there is a trauma to parenchyma, if you try to search the lost track very vigorously, there is fluid extravasation. There is difficulties in repunctures due to contrast extravasations also. There is stone which comes out in the perirenal space and which can lead to a trouble for lifelong if the patient comes with you with the X-ray again that yes, the stone is still there, but it's there in the perinephric space. And there might be an organ injury also. If you try to blindly push your amplas in search of the track, it can injure the surrounding organs. So what to do? So don't panic, be calm. There are many questions when the track is lost and your brain is full of questions. Now what to do? The thing is, go back, you are going the wrong way, stop, think for a moment, and then progress. So how to manage the track losses? You have to have some SOPs with you. It might be the personal SOPs, yes, there are always modifications done, but there should be some SOPs that if the track is lost, what can be done, and follow them with a calm mind. So in scenario 1, when the glide wire is there in the pelvis, in the pelvic alaicial system, and you have lost the track. So what to do? So I will be sharing a video. In option was just follow the glide wire. So here I am following the glide wire, but still I was not able to find my track. I was able to see my glide wire there, but then what I did was I rolled the glide wire on the nephroscope, and with the help of the glide wire, I tried to search my lost track. So once I did it, I was in the track and I was able to see the stone. This should be always guided with a fluoroscopy guidance. Don't do it blindly. You have to combine both the nephroscopy view and the fluoroscopy view together to see whether you are going rightly. In scenario 2, when the glide wire is not there in the pelvic alaicial system. So first I will show the video of it. Here I am searching the track blindly. There is no glide wire. As I was doing a mini PCNL, I have not kept a glide wire in the system. So what I did, when the glide wire is not there, so the first method what we usually practice is we insert methylene blue, infuse methylene blue from the ureteric catheter which is placed there. So in the first video, I will try to show you how to find the track with methylene blue. So I followed the path of the methylene blue from where it was coming, and I easily entered the pelvic alaicial system and the ureteric catheter was visible. But at times in the OT, methylene blue might not be available. So don't panic. You can use a betadine, which is also used. And the main advantage with betadine is that it doesn't stain the system like the methylene blue does. So the methylene, the betadine can be infused in the same way with the ureteric catheter. In the second video, it's the demonstration with the use of betadine. I'm in a lost track. Now I will be searching the track. My assistant is infusing the betadine solution from the ureteric catheter. You can see a yellow tinge coming there in my view. So I will try to search the way from it is coming. So I'm withdrawing the amplas now. And once I withdraw, I'm able to see the stone here. So I've entered my system again with the help of betadine. In scenario 3, when glide wire is not in situ and there is a small opening is visible, when there is a small opening is visible and if your wire is not there, this is a technique where we probe the track with our guide rod under fluoroscopy guidance. I'm probing the track with the guide rod under the fluoroscopy guidance. I'm able to feel my stone with the guide rod. Once it is done, I will gently slip my nephroscope over it, and so I'm back in the system again. In scenario 4, when the amplas sheet is pulled out completely, now this is a very much panicky situation when you have left nothing inside, there's no glide wire, there is no amplas. So in this scenario, we can use a mini nephroscope with a very low irrigation so that there is no fluid extravasation, or you can use a ureteroscope with a pathfinder. So in this video, I'm using a mini nephroscope, which is directly I'm inserting from the track which I have made. I'm going inside and slowly and steadily I'm reaching the point where I'm able to see a small opening. Now there is a contraction of the perinephric tissues there. So I'm easily inserting my nephroscope ahead and I'm entered the system. And this is the upper ureteric stone. So now how to prevent? After discussing all the common scenarios of track loss, now how to prevent the track loss? So our aim is safety first with zero accidents. So if we use an Alkins needle for inserting a safety wire, there is nothing like that. If you have a parked wire in your ureter and you are performing, even the track is lost, you are at peace. So try to put a safety wire always before doing a PCNL. Try to park any wire into the ureter. So you have to do some jugglery. If the wire is not going easily, you have to do some jugglery moves so that the wire gets sparked. In this video, my wire is getting coiled in the upper calyx, but then pulling it out and again pushing it, I am able to put it in the in the ureter, and just by withdrawing the needle, it gets sparked easily in the ureter. So the role of assistant. Now the assistant in a PCNL is a marshaller who guides the pilot to park his plane properly in the hangar. So he should be very well trained. He should be dedicated. He should always anticipate that yes, the situation is going to get difficult if I'm trying to do some maneuvering of my amplas. So he should maintain the angle also and just not keep the amplas in situ, but he should maintain the angle also. So I will say that one can't win a war alone. So you need a great team and an assistant who is properly trained into it. So this is the video when I'm trying to remove a stone, my assistant is holding the amplas properly with the two hands. So this is how one should train the assistants. So to conclude, the track loss is a common but manageable. So I will here say that be the Sherlock Holmes of an operation theater. Don't panic. Act like a Sherlock Holmes. Do not panic. Think logically. Act fast. Follow the SOPs, and you are going to find the lost track. Now coming to the second half of the talk, the overdilatation in PCNL. The PCNL surgery is about mathematics of depth and angle calculations to enter safely in a desired calyx. So if you calculate your angles and directions, nothing can stop you from achieving a very great results in PCNL. There are some high risk factors for overdilatations in PERC. I've divided them into two parts, in the kidney anatomy and the surgeon part. In the kidney anatomy, if the system is non-dilated, if the stone in the calyx is having a very little purchase, if there is an infundibular stenosis, if the kidneys are mal-rotated, hypermobile kidneys, completely bifid systems, pediatric kidneys and horseshoe kidneys, are the known factors. In such scenarios, yes, you are about or you're going, the risk of over-dilatation is very high. In surgeon and instrumentation, if you are a trainee in urology, if you have performed less than 100 PCNLs, if the CM angle settings are wrong, if the quality of CM is poor, if there is a lag in CM exposure and display, you might override the system and go ahead and tear the system. If the qualities of your glide wires and dilatation state
Harsh? Yeah, Harshavardhan? Call him.
There is a track loss.
Yes, sir.
screwing movement.
Track loss.
Escape also.
Hello.
Harsh,
Yeah,
But
Harsh is
anyway,
back.
Atul,
Harsh, you can reshare.
Yes, I'm sharing, sir. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
You are back in pelvic axial system. Carry on.
Yes. We are assistants.
Sorry,
Dedicated.
sir. Sorry, sir. So don't push it. Just
Switch off your cell phone, Harshavardhan. Remove your cell phone and move a little bit your computer.
and then only proceed. Use the fluoroscopy wisely. It is your third eye. So it's just a small video.
Harsh, we are missing the voice. Just change the position of your computer. It may work sometime. Or else you roll the screen, at least we will be able to see the screen.
I'm losing the net connection.
Yeah, you change your position a little bit in the room.
Yes. So actually the storm has all uprooted the underground cables and then due to it's badly hit here.
No problem, no problem.
Yes, sir. Am I able to, are you able to see, sir?
Yeah, in the minimized video only you show, no problem.
Yes, sir. So now I'm trying to dilate this with a single step dilatation. See, I have stopped my dilatation at the cup of calyx. I'm not trying to push it till the pelvis as it is completely occupied by the stone. So in this scenario, if you do it, then there will be a very little risk of over dilatation. Now, once it is done, so this is the dilatation step. I have done it over a Cobra cath, which is a flexible dilator, and a single step dilator is being used in this case. And you can see it's a very clear puncture. And after the clearance of the stone, which was located in the lower calyx, then only I tried gently to push my amplas inside. So this avoids over dilatation in difficult scenarios. Now, use of a flexible Cobra cath in PCNL dilatations. It reduces the chance of counter perforations. It can easily negotiate a step in the path of glide wire. It stabilizes the system as it can be parked in the proximal ureter. It lessens the risk of bleeding and useful in non-dilated systems. So it is the last video. In this, I will be able to show a standard PCNL. You can see an upper ureteric stone and many lower calyceal stones. So I took a puncture in 30 degrees. It's a bullseye technique. Once it was punctured, I inserted my glide wire. So I inserted the glide wire, and over the glide wire, I did a Cobra catheter dilatation. So it's a flexible catheter. With this help, you avoid the counter perforations of the pelvis as it molds with the glide wire and enters the upper ureter. And so the direction of your dilatation is almost fixed towards the pelvis. So it's a single step dilatation which I'm doing over the Cobra cath. So I'm not entering too much. I'm just staying back as inferior calyx had many stones. So once this was done, it's a clear puncture and you can see many stones there. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.